But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. Absolutely lived up to expectations, exceeded them much more so as quickly as we thought coming off that historic draft.
Raise your hand if you've ever said something you regret. Well, WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert just joined the club in a big way. Her comments about the Caitlin Clark-Angel-Reese rivalry have everyone talking, and not in a good way. Let's break down what happened and why it's such a big deal.
Yeah, and you mentioned all the revenue drivers. We also signed a historic media deal since I was here last.
That's right.
Long-term media deal, which was important for the stability of the league.
So, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are the hottest names in women's basketball right now. These two are like fire and ice on the court, and fans can't get enough. But here's where things got messy. Engelbert compared them to the legendary Bird Magic rivalry. She said, "You need rivalry. That's what makes people watch." Imagine saying that about two young stars who are already dealing with so much pressure. It's like throwing gasoline on a fire. You know what's crazier? Engelbert probably thought she was hyping up the league, but oh boy, she had no idea what was coming next. The backlash? It's about to get real. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Remember when I said the backlash was about to get real? Well, imagine the commissioner of a pro sports league going head-to-head with every single player in that league, because that's exactly what was about to happen in the WNBA. Enter the WNBPA, the Women's National Basketball Players Association. These are the folks who have the players' backs, fighting for their rights and well-being.
These rookies have put on quite a season, and it's not just Caitlin and Angel. Rickea Jackson and other rookies are killing it this year. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two.
And let me tell you, they were not happy with Engelbert's comments. Not one bit. Terry Jackson, the executive director of the WNBPA, came out swinging. She didn't mince words when she said, "There is absolutely no place in sport or in life for the vile hate, racist language, homophobic comments, and misogynistic attacks our players are facing on social media." Boom. That's a direct shot at Engelbert's focus on rivalries. But here's the thing, Jackson wasn't just upset about what Engelbert said. She was furious about what Engelbert didn't say. While the commissioner was busy hyping up rivalries, players were dealing with a tsunami of online harassment and toxic fandom. Jackson called it out, saying, "This kind of toxic fandom should never be tolerated or left unchecked." It's like Engelbert and the players are living in two different worlds. On one side, you've got the commissioner trying to grow the league, boost viewership, and create exciting storylines. On the other, you've got players who are dealing with real, sometimes scary consequences of that increased attention. This whole mess shows just how tricky it is to balance league growth with player welfare. Sure, rivalries are exciting, they get people talking, they boost ratings, they sell tickets, but at what cost? When players are facing racist, homophobic, and misogynistic attacks online, is it really okay to just brush that aside and focus on the game? You know what's really wild about all this? This kind of public clash between the commissioner and the players' union has never happened before in WNBA history. Never. We're talking about a seismic shift in the relationship between league leadership and the players. Think about it. The very people Engelbert is supposed to be supporting and promoting are now calling her out publicly. That's not just a little disagreement, that's a full-blown crisis for the WNBA. Crisis mode activated, right? Not so fast. While players are fuming, there's one thing keeping Engelbert in the commissioner's chair. It's the same factor that could make or break the future of the WNBA. You'd think with all this drama, Engelbert would be packing up her office. But here's the kicker. Her job might be safer than ever. Why? 2 words: record profits. Under Engelbert's leadership, the WNBA has been raking in the dough like never before. And let's be real, in pro sports, money talks. But don't think Engelbert's just sitting back and counting her cash. She knows she messed up, and she's trying to fix it. She came out with a statement saying, "To be clear, there is absolutely no place for hate or racism of any kind in the WNBA or anywhere else." It's like she's trying to put out a fire with a water gun. Nice try, but is it enough? Here's the thing. Engelbert's apology might sound good on paper, but it's missing the point. Remember what Terry Jackson said about the players facing vile hate, racist language, homophobic comments, and misogynistic attacks on social media. That's the real issue here, and Engelbert's statement doesn't really address it. So now Engelbert's caught between a rock and a hard place. On one side, she's got to keep the league growing, create exciting rivalries, and boost those ratings. On the other, she needs to protect her players from the toxic mess that comes with all that attention. It's like trying to juggle flaming chainsaws while riding a unicycle. Good luck with that. But here's where it gets really interesting. This whole mess isn't just about the WNBA anymore. It's sparked a much bigger conversation about what sports commissioners should be doing in this age of social media and player power. Should they be focusing on making money for the league, or should they be putting player welfare first? Can they do both? Think about it. We're living in a time where athletes have more power than ever before. They can speak directly to fans on social media, build their own brands, and call out injustice when they see it. But that also means they're more exposed to hate and harassment than ever before. So what's a commissioner to do? Keep pushing for those rivalries and big storylines that bring in the viewers and the cash? Or take a stand against the toxic side of fandom, even if it might hurt the bottom line? But here's the real kicker. Engelbert's comments might have accidentally opened Pandora's box. The players are fed up, the fans are angry, and now there's talk of changes that could turn the WNBA upside down. What if I told you this mess could lead to something no one saw coming? Picture this, a league where players have more say in how things are run. Crazy, right? But that's exactly what some folks are whispering about. The WNBA could be on the verge of a major shakeup, and it's all thanks to this controversy. Now, don't get too excited. We're not talking about players staging walkouts or anything like that. Let's be real, these athletes need their paychecks, but that doesn't mean they can't push for change in other ways. Imagine players having a bigger voice in league decisions, maybe even getting a seat at the table when it comes to things like media deals or social media policies. And speaking of social media, that's where the real battle is happening. Remember all that online hate we talked about earlier? Well, it's forcing the WNBA to take a hard look at how they handle player welfare. It's not just about protecting players from nasty comments anymore. It's about creating a whole new playbook for how sports leagues deal with the dark side of fan engagement. But here's where it gets really interesting. This whole mess isn't just changing things for the WNBA. It's setting off a chain reaction that could ripple through women's sports as a whole. Think about it. Other leagues are watching this drama unfold, and you can bet they're taking notes. So what does this mean for future rivalries in the WNBA? Well, it's complicated. On one hand, the league still needs those exciting matchups to draw in fans. But on the other hand, they can't just throw players to the wolves anymore. It's like trying to light a fire without burning down the whole forest. The WNBA is going to have to get creative if they want to keep things spicy on the court without letting things get out of control off it. And let's not forget about the poor commissioners of other women's leagues. They're probably sweating bullets right now, wondering if they're next on the chopping block. It's like Engelbert accidentally wrote a new rulebook for sports leadership, and now everyone's scrambling to keep up. But you know what? Maybe this is exactly what women's sports needed. A wake-up call, a chance to hit the reset button and figure out how to balance commercial interests with player protection. It's not going to be easy, but it could lead to something pretty amazing.